Welcome to Grapple Arts Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, have I got a treat for you today. I'm talking to Bernardo Faria, who's fresh off a double win at the World Championships, a win in his weight class and a win in the Absolute, which he's done before in the Pan Ams, weight class, Absolute. He's got a whole list of medals, gi and no gi. So this is one of the very best jiu-jitsu guys in the world right now. So I'm really looking forward to the next half hour, however long we go, to just pick his brain. But first of all, Bernardo, I'm sure you can't hear it enough. Congratulations on your recent double victory.
Thanks so much, Stephan. Thanks so much. And also thanks for the opportunity to make this interview. It's a pleasure to be talking for your website. I have been following you on YouTube and all this stuff, and I really appreciate all the work you are doing for the Jiu-Jitsu community. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, that's too kind of you. Now, you just, after you won the Worlds, you taught a seminar or two, and then you disappeared off to Brazil. How was Brazil?
Yeah, I had 1 week vacation there. I didn't have that planned, but as I won the Worlds, I felt like I don't know if I'm going to do that again. I should be better and go to Brazil and celebrate with my family, because this is like a lifetime work, so we never know if we're going to be able to do that again or not. So let me celebrate now that I did. So I talked to Marcel and Tati, and they gave me 1 week off in the schedule here, and I went there, and it was super nice.
So did you actually do any jiu-jitsu, or was it just family and beach time and friend time?
Every time I go to Brazil, I always train there. I always train in my hometown with my first teacher. That's one of my best friends. Is one of my mentors too. But this time I had a little injury on my knee from the Worlds. So I took this 7-8 days that I was there and I did nothing at all. I just did some physiotherapy, and it worked well. My knee came back better, and I did an MRI right there as well, and there's nothing, so it was a very good news.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm back in training for the ADCC that I got invited.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of questions for you. But why don't we start with what you're doing to get ready for ADCC? Like, what is your week looking like this week? What's your plan specifically day by day for this week? When I was coming back from Brazil in the airplane, it was like 9 hours without doing nothing. So I planned my next 2 months really well planned, and we are exactly 2 months from the ADCC. They invited me this time. They had invited me before in 2013, but I hurt my knee and I had to make a surgery, and I couldn't do it. So this time they invited me again, and they invited me for the division that's not my division. My division is until 99 kilos. They invited me to over 99 kilos. That's the heaviest division. And but I'm going to take it as a challenge, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I hope I have the chance to do the open class as well, so I'm really excited for the ADCC. And as I told before, I already made the plan for the next 2 months. Basically, I'm going to do on Monday 1 wrestling session and 1 physical conditioning session. Tuesday, 2 no-gi sessions. Wednesday, 1 wrestling session and 1 physical conditioning session. Thursday, 2 no-gi sessions, and on Friday, 1 no-gi and 1 gi session. So that's going to be my schedule. And I have some seminars scheduled in the weekend. That's going to be gi. So on Saturday, I'm going to do some seminars and train for the students with gi. So basically, I'm going to do like 2 gi trainings and 5 no-gi trainings, 3 wrestling trainings, and 2 physical conditioning trainings. So that's going to be my next 8 weeks. So I know that Marcelo Garcia is obviously very heavily involved in your training, but I mean, when you take a look at his philosophy, it's keep on training the gi right up to your no gi event, and keep on training no gi right up to your gi event. Do you believe in that? Obviously, you do. If you're doing gi right up to ADCC.
Yeah, what Marcelo says really makes sense. He says that when you do no gi, you are helping your gi training, and when you're doing gi training, you are helping the no gi training. So you should do always the both together, you know. And I believe in that as well. That's really true, because one really helps each other. No gi is more like slippery, so you have to be really, really tight on every position. And with gi, you need much more tools, because the gi holds you more, so you need much more options. So if you can put a bunch of options in the no gi, and you can put the adjustment from the no gi on gi, that's gonna be the best game. So I really believe on that. So that's why I'm trying to keep the gi on my schedule as well, at least for 1 or 2 days during the week, because I agree with Marcelo. It really helps a lot each other.
Now, do you have any problems with, when I think of your game, Bernardo, especially your bottom game, your very famous deep half guard and your Z guard game, there's a lot of gripping, and you know, you're always feeding the lapel between the legs to get that single leg and other sweeps like that. But obviously, no gi, you don't have those handles. So is it a big problem?
Yeah,
to get rid of those handles?
Yeah, that's really true. You know, I mean, like, I feel much more comfortable with the gi than no gi. I remember when I came here in Marcelo's, and before I came to Marcelo, I used to train only 1 training per week no gi. In São Paulo, was every Friday, 12 o'clock, the no gi session. So, and many times Friday, I had a tournament on Saturday and didn't train Friday. Many times I used to go to my hometown on Friday, and then I trained there. That was gi. So I didn't train so much no gi before I come to Marcelo. So when I come here, I was feeling like really uncomfortable in the no gi, you know, sessions here. But there is like 2.5 years that I'm here, and every day I feel that I'm improving. You know, every day I feel that I'm improving. I'm getting small detail here, small detail there. So little by little, I'm starting to feel like really comfortable with the no gi grips, and kind of forgetting the lapel and the grips a little. So I'm sure that one day I'm gonna be feeling like 100% comfortable no gi, in the same way I feel with gi. I just hope this day is like in 2 months. but I'm feeling more comfortable than like last year, you know. So every year I'm feeling I'm getting better. So I don't feel that comfortable. I don't feel as comfortable as yet, but I'm sure that very soon I'm gonna be feeling on that way, because I'm really like feeling improving every day, getting tips from Marcelo like every single training. So that helps a lot.
Well, that's an interesting point about Marcelo giving you tips, because one thing I wanted to ask about is Marcelo's game, especially the bottom game, is pretty different from your game, or at least it looks like it to me. You know, you're doing deep half and Z guard, and of course he's doing a butterfly guard is what he's most known for. So, I mean, of course, he's Marcelo. He's incredible. But how is he as a coach for you when your game is so different?
Yeah, I mean, like 2 things that I want to talk. One thing is like, doesn't matter the game. I always try to, for example, that's true. With gi, for example, many times I do the Marcelo class. I always do the positions that he teaches. And many times I see the position and I see like, oh, this position doesn't work. Maybe it's not going to work for me. But even like this, I really try to really focus on that position that he's teaching, because even if I don't use that position, someone can use against me, and I'm going to know what's going on, you know. And what's happening in no gi right now, I was talking with Marcelo about it today. It's even a coincidence. I was telling him that no gi, if you end up on bottom, you don't have lapel, you don't have grip, so there is no way you have to use hooks, you know. The hooks helps a lot in no gi. So I'm really using a lot of hooks right now. Hooks from half guard. I'm doing one type of guard that's like half butterfly and half guard. Don't know if you can understand. I kind of do half guard, but with the hook inside. Makes sense? So it's kind of like, it's a mix of butterfly and half guard. So I'm really trying to mix up like what Marcelo has with my game, So and it's nice because many times every single question I have about any type of sweep with hook, he showed me the way he does, and or I try to do exactly the way he does, or I try to bring it as close as possible to my game, So I'm really feeling that I'm improving a lot in no-gi, So I'm very excited for the ADCC. It's going to be a good test for me.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the new improved Bernardo. I mean, it's kind of funny that you can get a world champion. I was talking about this with a friend of mine just a little while ago. If we were doing baseball, right, you wouldn't be saying, oh, I just saw this brand new way of throwing the ball or this brand new way of swinging the bat. Or tennis, there aren't new strokes. But in jiu-jitsu, you've been doing it for a long time, and you've won the highest accolades that you can in the art. And here you are going on about, learning new details all the time. So that's, it shows you how big jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah, and I think the nicest part about jiu-jitsu is exactly this, because I don't think I know so much. I think jiu-jitsu is so big that you can learn a lot of things, For sure, if I spend a day with you, you're going to teach me a lot of things, and I'm probably going to teach you things too. So everyone can teach everyone, For sure, if I train with any blue, purple, brown, black belt, he's going to have something that I don't know, and I can pick it from him. So I think in jiu-jitsu, if you are humble and if you have like an open mind, you can really learn a lot, from everyone, So I think one of the nice things in life is learn new things, So that's nice about jiu-jitsu. You can always be learning.
But a lot of people, or not a lot of people, some people I think are scared of learning new stuff. They want to stay just in their little world of what they're comfortable with, and they don't want to push themselves outside it.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about these people. I think they're losing a great opportunity to learn. Because I think all aspects of life, learn is super nice. If we start talking, I don't know, about business, about computer, about this, about that, for sure, you don't know a lot of things that I can learn from you. You can learn something from me, and then we grow together. So I think jiu-jitsu is the same thing. Everyone can learn everything, and sometimes you can learn something that you're never gonna use, but you can teach someone, or maybe if someone do against you, you know what's going on and you know how to defend it. So I never close my mind to learn anything.
So you have been out there practicing berimbolos, just not using them in competition.
Yeah, it's not my favorite position, but sometimes in the train I try, But I definitely don't. It's not my favorite, but this is what I'm telling you, If I don't try,
how will you know?
If I don't try, I'm not gonna know what's that, And then when someone do against me, I don't know. Sometimes I try and I see what's the hardest parts to do it, and when I'm defending, when someone tries to do against me, I try to go exactly to that way that I feel hard, So I think it's really important to keep an open mind in jiu-jitsu to learn everything. And for example, I hate 50-50 guard. I hate it. And you're never gonna see me like trying to go to the 50-50. Just in the words, the finals, I end up in the 50-50, So if I was not training that, if I was not studying the position, if I was closing my mind to learn, I would probably tap in the finals, But I hate it, but I do it, I train it, I study it. Sometimes in the training I go for just to see what's that, So and then in the finals of the world, João Gabriel put me in 50-50, and I was cool, you know. I was not like that worried. You know? I was like, okay, I know what's going on. You know.
Well, when you're talking about your favorite techniques, I mean, you clearly, when I watch you compete, you very, very much have a game plan, right? I mean, a lot of your matches look very similar, and the people probably know exactly what's coming, or they think they know, but they can't stop it. So how long did it take you to find this game plan of what works for you?
Yeah, I do kind of like the same line, the same direction since I was yellow belt. When I was yellow belt, I started doing the passing that I do right now, the over-under pass. So it was in 2002. In 2003, I started doing the single leg half guard when I was blue belt juvenile. In 2006, I started doing the deep half guard when I was purple. So it's a long time doing that, you know. But I really do that a lot on training. But I don't close my eyes to any position, you know. So, for example, I work a lot of omoplatas as well. I don't use so much on tournaments, but I'm always working that. Now I'm working a lot on butterfly and hooks, and so I'm always trying to learn, you know. And but of course, when it's the time of the competition, I'm not gonna try to test things out, you know. I'm gonna do whatever I have my best, you know. And of course, if I fall at some position, if I fall on 50-50, or if I fall on omoplata, or if I fall on butterfly, I'm gonna do it. But I'm not gonna try to start going to that direction, you know.
Well, I don't think, when you talk about doing omoplata, I don't think many people listening know exactly how good your omoplata game is. I mean, I was injured, but I saw you give a seminar where you rolled with a bunch of black belts and brown belts and really, really tough guys, and you omoplated every single person in an hour of sparring. And I know I've talked to other people who've seen you do the exact same thing. So you do have this secret weapon that you've been working on, but that we haven't seen very much in tournament.
Yeah, I use it sometimes in tournament. I remember, for example, my finals of the open class of Pan Ams in 2010. I beat Braga Neto with one omoplata. He didn't tap, but I went to the sweep, and I got the 2 points, and I won the match. And I got some submissions with omoplata. You know, I even tapped with some guys that have big names, but not that often. It's because half guard, it's hard to do omoplata from half guard, and half guard is really like my best position. So I always try to start the match going to the half guard. So so I have the omoplata, but I just go if that opportunity shows up. I don't find this so much, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's always good to train every type of positions, and many times when I make seminars, I try to. At some point in my life, I saw that I was doing a lot of seminars and I was not competing that much, and I saw all my opponents competing a lot. So I was thinking by myself, I was like, I have to use the seminar as any type of challenge for me to suppose that I'm competing at some point, you know. So I started doing that. Many times I make seminar and I try to omoplata everyone, because this is a kind of like a competition, you know, for me.
Yes.
It's kind of like a tournament. It's a challenge, you know. So I think that works for me. And then many times when I'm the seminar during the rows, I feel like I'm in the tournament. You know, everyone is watching, and I only can do omoplata, and I have to breathe, and I can't stop rolling, and
all the tough guys are sitting out waiting for you to get tired. and when you've been going for 45 minutes, then they jump in.
Yeah, this is part of the game, Joe, and that happens a lot. But I don't have the fear of tapping, you know. So if someone taps me, I would be really sad tapping the tournament, you know. And I did many times, and I got really sad. But in the training or in the seminar, I don't care, you know. So I would just keep rolling.
How does the wrestling that you're doing tie in? What kind of, are you doing like a collegiate style wrestling or a Greco-Roman, or what are you doing to fit in with your game and your plans?
I started wrestling last year, just right afterwards. I lost my finals to Rodolfo last year, and I really felt that I could take him down if I had a little bit of wrestling, because I was ending up in the single leg every single time, and I was not finishing the single leg. So right after the Worlds, I tried to find the best place to train wrestling here in New York, and I found one very good place called Edge in Hoboken, one city nearby, just like across the bridge in New York City. And it's a very high level. There is where the UFC guys like Frank Edgar, Rafael Sapo, Damian Maia is here right now, is training there. So a bunch of UFC guys do the wrestling right there. So it's a really high level. And they were super welcome with me. And I'm going there every Wednesdays. I'm going tomorrow. So it's just the regular wrestling. I don't understand so much about wrestling, so I don't know really well what's the difference between Greco-Roman wrestling. I just know that it's the wrestling, the American wrestling.
Okay. And are you focusing mostly on the single leg, or are you just doing the whole wrestling curriculum and seeing what works? I'm doing the whole wrestling curriculum, wherever they teach me. But of course, I always tell them that I have my half guard ends up in the single leg, so I have to finish the single leg. So I focus a lot on that as well. But I'm trying to learn everything, but with the focus on the single leg. Mm-hmm.
And that'll really helped me a lot.
I am assuming they're not doing much groundwork, much of the wrestling turnovers and the wrestling pins. You're just focusing on the stand-up.
Most of the livings we do there, or you have to hold the guy on bottom for 3 seconds, or you have 15 seconds on the ground to do whatever you want. Even why there are a bunch of UFC guys right there, MMA guys, so they want to work submissions and this and that. So we don't focus on pin. We don't focus on pin, but we focus sometimes 15 seconds on the ground or hold for at least 3 seconds the takedown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very good for jiu-jitsu, I think, and it's really helped me a lot because wrestling is so much pressure. You have to have a lot of pressure. So many times I feel that even when I'm passing the guard, the wrestling is giving me much more pressure because you understand better about your body, And then
when you say pressure, what do you mean? Is it a psychological pressure or is it physical pressure pushing into your opponent?
I mean physical pressure pushing to your opponent. Many times I'm passing the guard, and for example, right there in the wrestling, many times we do the takedown, and we have to hold the guy for like 3 seconds or 10 seconds hang on the ground. And man, hold one wrestler on the ground is super tough. If the guy is a high level, it's super tough. So that energy that you spend like holding him on the ground, with him trying to stand up again, trying to stand up, it's so much energy you have to put there, So many times when I'm passing the guard, I feel a little bit that I'm kind of like holding the guy down and working the jiu-jitsu technique to pass, So I don't know. I don't know if it's just like psychology that I'm feeling that. Since I started wrestling, I felt myself with more pressure on top.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just impression or if it's really going on, but I'm feeling like that.
Oh, that's really interesting that there's that carryover. Now, when you were talking about your training week, you were saying that you're doing physical conditioning a couple times a week as well. So what is it? Are you doing cardio? Are you doing strength? Are you doing circuit training? What are you doing?
I was very lucky because I moved to New York like 2.5 years ago to teach and train at Marcellus. And like 1.5 years ago, little more than 1.5 years, Lucas Lepper introduced me to his physical conditioning coach called Kevin Paretti, KP. And I'm very lucky because I'm pretty sure he's probably the best conditioning coach for fighters, in the world, I think. Because he's a physiotherapist and physical conditioning coach in the same time. So he really understands a lot about body, you know. So every time I get injured, he fixes me like really fast, and he pushed me really hard on the training, you know. And basically his training is shared by phase. So there is one phase that's more like strength conditioning. There is another phase that's a little mix of strength conditioning and jiu-jitsu techniques, like jiu-jitsu moves. And then the last phase, like 1 month before the tournament, or a little more than 1 month, is all about like jiu-jitsu moves with like exercise, you know. So
give me an example, because I can't really picture that.
There are a bunch of examples. It's hard to say, but for example, there is one that he put like I don't even know what's the name. He put like one thing on my chest. It's on my Instagram even. He put something on my chest, and this thing goes to one machine. There's a cable connected to the machine, and I have to do my over-under passing against the punch bag.
Oh, okay.
And the punch bag is laying down on the mat, and I have to do my over-under passing against the punch bag, and the cable is pushing me back, and I have to push I have to put a lot of pressure towards the punching bag. And
okay.
Like for like I don't remember, it's 30 seconds or 1 minute. Then there is another exercise that he put on a cable on my foot, and I have to do technical stand-up, but the cable is pushing me towards the opposite side. So I have to put a lot of energy to finish the technical stand-up. And then I have to do the technical stand-up like 15 times each side. Then it's always about specific moves, you know. And this is another thing that's helped me a lot as well, you know. My first teacher always used to say that one of my best characters in Jiu-Jitsu was that I didn't use to get tired when I was competing. And now I'm feeling that even more, you know. Many times when I'm competing, the first 5 minutes is tough, and then I look to my opponent, he's getting tired, and I'm completely like full of energy. So makes it easier.
What do you think that is? Do you have any idea where that comes from? Did you do a lot of running as a kid, or swimming, or?
Since I started Jiu-Jitsu, I think it's probably this. I don't know, but since I started Jiu-Jitsu, I always roll with the toughest guys in the mat in a row during the class. So I tap a lot, you know. There's no way to beat everyone every day.
Mm-hmm.
So many days I get mashed in school. But I always train with all of them like in a row, you know. So for example, at Marcelo's school, I go with Mateus, then I go with John Satava, then I go with Munch, then I go with Dylan Dennis, then I go with Marcelo, then I go with Marcos, then I go with Mateus again. Always like one after the other. So if I think it's all about training, you know. If you make your training harder than the competition, in the competition you're gonna feel. I don't mean that's gonna be easy. That's never easy. It's always super hard.
But the training is harder.
Yeah, the training is like you're gonna have a lot of sacrifice, you know, and it's you're gonna feel a little better in the competition. I'm not saying that you're gonna feel super good, but a little better you're gonna feel.
So when you compare your attributes, right? How fast you are, how strong you are, how flexible you are, how much endurance you have, to the people that you're fighting in competition most often, where do you think you are? Do you think that you're generally as strong, stronger, or not as strong? As fast, faster, or not as fast? Obviously, you just said you have good endurance.
What I feel is that I'm not talented at all in Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm not that type of guy that learn one thing here and start doing great. I always have like a hard time to learn, and I don't feel myself strong. Even why I never in all my life used any type of steroids or things like that. And in Jiu-Jitsu there are a bunch of people who use, and I never did this, so I always felt like people in the training and people sometimes in the tournament stronger than I. But I feel that I have a very good conditioning, and I have a game plan that I do for like 12 years. So when I put someone on the half guard, for example, in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm doing this special thing for 12, 13 years. So I have more time here than my opponent. So I'm gonna probably get a sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't get it, but that's how my mind works. You know, I have a bigger chance to get a sweep than him to pass my guard, just because I was here for much longer time than him.
And I mean, you've done that sweep from half guard against everybody. I mean, Buchecha, Leandro Lo, everybody you've done it to at some point. What does it feel like when you get your grip in that position? It must be very happy or very relaxing.
I think it's all about training, you know, because, for example, against my training partners, I feel really hard to finish that sweep, you know. But really? It's because I train for them over and over every day, every single day, many times per day. So they really know what I'm doing, you know. They know every single detail that I'm going for, you know. So I think when the competition comes up, my opponent knows that I'm going to do that thing. He watched videos, he knows about this, he knows about that. But he doesn't have that feeling that my training partners have, you know. So I think this makes much easier. You know. That's what I'm saying. It's harder than competition because all my training partners know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And some days I get to do against them, some days not. Some days I really don't get to finish the sweep. Mm-hmm. But then when it's a competition and I get the position, they don't have the feeling of what I'm doing, you know. So it ends up working many times.
It must feel the same way when you get your over-under guard passing position too.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. But don't understand me wrong, you know. Many times it doesn't work. Many times it doesn't work in the training and doesn't work in the competition either. Mm-hmm. But I'm always trying, you know. I'm insisting.
Yeah. Well, so what was I know you said your training is often tougher than the competition, but what's the toughest match that you've ever had in competition? The toughest guy you've ever fought?
The toughest match, it's even hard to say because I had a bunch of toughest matches.
Okay.
But the toughest guy for sure was Rodolfo.
Okay.
And he's the only guy, I think, in the world that I never beat. I mean, everyone that I fought more than 2 times, at least once I got to beat, you know. Rodolfo I never did yet. So he's for sure the toughest guy I ever competed with. And I mean, I hope I beat him someday. I'm training a lot, you know.
Is he going to Abu Dhabi?
He's going, but they invited me to one division that's not my division. He's going to my division, you know. He's going to 99 kilos and I'm going to over 99. But there is the open class as well. But I never go to, of course I want to fight him. I want to beat him someday. But I don't focus my training or my life to beat him. You know, you see, he was not in the world, and then I won my division. I won class, and if he was there, I would go with the same goal. You know, to win my division and win the open class. I always go to the tournament to thinking about winning the tournament, and I don't go thinking about I want to win Rodolfo or I want to win. I want to win the tournament. Whoever is there, I want to try to win. You know.
Mm-hmm. You see that sometimes with people going into the tournament with the idea to beat one person. They beat that one person, and then they're done.
Yeah. And look, for example, let's imagine I go to the ADCC and, I want to beat Rodolfo. Maybe I can lose before I meet him in the tournament. Maybe he can lose before he meets me, you know. So we never know, you know. I always go thinking about, I want to win the tournament, you know. And when they put up the brackets, but even when they put up the brackets, I just think I want to win my first match. Because you don't know if you're going to be able to do the second match. Maybe you're going to lose. Maybe you're going to get injured. So I just want to win my first match. That's it. And then I win my first match. Okay, who's the second? Okay, now I want to win the second one. And if you start thinking so much about the future, Rodolfo is on the other side, so I want to beat him in the finals. But maybe you're going to lose before. Maybe he's going to lose. Maybe you're going to get injured. Maybe you never know, you know. So it's very good to think myself.
Have you thought about doing MMA? It seems like a lot of jiu-jitsu guys get success in jiu-jitsu and then they want to go on to to mixed martial arts. Maybe that's changing.
When I started thinking about going to MMA, it was like 4 years ago, in 2011. I was 24 years old at that time, but I felt that I could do much more in jiu-jitsu. So then I kept doing jiu-jitsu, and now I'm 28 years old. So I think it's not worth me going to MMA right now because I'm 28 years old. I'm not like a very good wrestler, and I don't have any stand-up game like boxing or Muay Thai or. So I would need to spend like at least like 3 years to get good in Muay Thai or boxing and wrestling. Then I would need to spend more 2 or 3 years to make like a little record, like 5-10 match to get into the UFC or something like that. So then I would be like with 34, 35 years old, and it would not be worth it. I think it's better keep doing what I'm doing, keep competing in jiu-jitsu. I still have a lot to do in jiu-jitsu. I'm only 28 years old. I think I can do at least more like 2, 3, 4 years at least. So I think it's better doing what I'm doing than I think it's better trying to be the first one in jiu-jitsu or the second, third, fourth than to be one more in 1,000 in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, and of course, I mean, the more we're learning about brain damage with the striking and the fighting, you know, the less enthusiastic I become about recommending MMA to people. I mean, you're taking the most complex object in the universe that we know of, the human brain,
yeah.
and you're, repeatedly hitting it as hard as you can. And it's like somehow that just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, my advice is about MMA is if someone want to do MMA, I would only advise like if you really love to fight MMA, do it. You know, because if you love doing that, you're not gonna worry about brain damage or if you love it, do it. But if you're gonna do this because money or because glamour or because you want to be famous, I don't know. I think you should be doing jiu-jitsu or. But if you really love this, you only have one life, go and do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The level of risk. Every climber knows a whole bunch of dead climbers. It's like there's no other sport where, half your friends are dead.
Yeah, that is dangerous. I mean, like, this guy's the best one, so, but he's dangerous, anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, it's scary only about thinking.
Yeah. Something I wanted to ask you about, I mean, I've seen you teach both in your DVDs and in person, and you teach really well. I mean, I see you teach using different methods, different analogies. You talk to some people. You also, move people through the movement with your hands if they're not getting it. So where did you learn to teach as well as you do? Because a lot of competitors, they're just so focused on their own training. And I won't say they don't care about other people, but they've never really thought very much about how to help other people learn. They're just concerned about their own learning.
I think first thing, most of the things we do, we learn, right? So I think I learned how to teach, and I had very good teachers. My first teacher, Ricardo, who taught me from white to black belt, and he taught me the basic of jiu-jitsu like really well. And he was a really nice guy, that type of guy that take care about every single student. I mean, that type of guy that you're never gonna see any person on the planet talking bad about him. And so I have.
So what's his name?
Ricardo Marques. He has one affiliate, one Brazilian top team affiliate in my hometown. And so I had him as a teacher. Then I moved to São Paulo and I became a student of Fábio Gurgel. I moved to São Paulo with the support of my teacher. This was very nice, actually. He was from Brazilian top team. And when I finished my college about business, he was the first one to tell me, if you want to leave jiu-jitsu, if you want to do jiu-jitsu as a living, get away from here. And if I was you, I would go to São Paulo to train at Fábio. And he was like from a different school, you know. He was from Brazilian Top Team, and he told me to go to Alliance. And because Brazilian Top Team at that time was very focused about MMA, and he knew that I would want to do Jiu-Jitsu. So I think it is not every teacher that would do that, you know, and he did. So that's why I really respect him a lot. And then I moved to São Paulo. I became a student of Fabio, who's a really good teacher. Fabio teaching is like unbelievable, you know. He knows when he teaches a position, he knows to teach exactly that point that everyone does the mistake, you know. He goes exactly to the point that's the hardest point to learn, you know, and he goes and teach that thing, you know. So I learned from him, and then I moved to New York, and I was blessed to have another like amazing teacher, probably. So I was very lucky, you know. So I think when I'm teaching, it's kind of like the reflex of my three teachers, you know. So I try to do what they do.
Well, I guess you're paying it forward. You know, the kindness that they showed you, you're then showing to your own students. What are your plans with regards to Jiu-Jitsu in the next 3-4 years? You've got Abu Dhabi coming up. Are you going to teaching, do more seminars? What are your plans?
Yeah, my plan is keep doing what I'm doing, like keep competing the most important tournaments until I have motivation, and I'm very, very motivated to keep doing, so I'm gonna keep doing. And my plan is to enjoy the Jiu-Jitsu as much as I can, you know. So I wanna compete a lot, like maybe the Pan Am's, Worlds, maybe World Pro, ADCC, maybe some super fight, things like that. And I want to make as much seminars as I can, because I think it's a very good way to share, to grow the Jiu-Jitsu, and it's a very good opportunity to meet new people, know new place. And I got one partner called Michael Zenga. That we became partner on some projects online, and I'm really focused about this stuff because I think we can do much. Everyone can do more than we think. So I think I can be more than an athlete and teacher. So I'm really focused about this project. And then we are making a bunch of DVDs with me and with other fighters as well. So, and we have one website as well where we make deals about Jiu-Jitsu, this and that. So I'm really focused about this stuff, you know, and it's all things that I can do on my computer when I'm not training, when I'm resting, you know, so that's good. So when I'm resting, instead of looking Instagram from other people, I'm working on something, or instead of watching TV, I'm doing something that I can grow the Jiu-Jitsu community, and I can help myself too. So I'm really happy about everything that is happening in my life, and I'm even happier about the people that I'm involved with, you know, like Marcelo, Michael, and all the students here, all the Fabio, all the friendships that I have, you know. Now I'm Stephan in the interview guy. So I'm very, very happy about everything that's going on in my life in general.
Well, if people want to get a hold of you for seminars or I don't know, guest appearances or signed photographs, where do they go? What would be the best way to get a hold of you?
I made one website on bernardofaria.com where I have my email there, this and that. But I think the easiest way is through the Facebook, you know. I think nothing is better than Facebook nowadays. So if anyone is interested for seminar or privates or DVDs or whatever, just write me a message on Facebook, and or me or one friend of mine who helps me this stuff is gonna be replying to you, and that's it, you know. So just write me a message, and we're gonna set up wherever you need.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for for talking today. I learned a lot, and it was really interesting to pick your brain and see your approach to training and approach to jiu-jitsu. It's really refreshing to see somebody who enjoys it that much.
Thanks so much, Steph. I really appreciate it, and thanks so much for inviting me. As I told you in the beginning, I have been following all you do on YouTube and online, and I think Jiu-Jitsu needs more people like you, that put so much effort on putting videos, putting interviews, putting all this stuff. I think this is what makes Jiu-Jitsu grows a lot, so I'm really happy to be helping you with this interview as well.
Well, good luck at Abu Dhabi, and we'll be watching very carefully.
Thank you. Thanks, Steph. It was a pleasure. Thank you.